Good day, everyone. This is the Group 4. I am Clifford Kent C. Onggokan, the first presenter of the group. So our topic is all about ways of training AFL teachers for ESP teaching. So I have a question. Why train ESP teachers? Can all general English teachers teach ESP? So the answer is no. There is no language teachers lacking content knowledge to teach ESP feel unprepared to integrate authentic texts, tasks, or tests from content areas in their English classes. In this case, the task of teaching ESP is shouldered by content teachers who have got a degree in a university with English medium instruction. So this means that not all general English teachers can effectively teach English for specific purposes. While GE teachers possess English language expertise, ESP requires additional specialized knowledge. Therefore, content teachers with experience in English medium instruction often take on the responsibility of teaching ESP. They possess both language skills and the subject matter expertise necessary for effective teaching. So the next one is a survey for the purpose of identifying English language needs for technical educational was conducted in 1990 by the Language Studies Unit of Curriculum Development Cell, IIT in Tamil Kanpur, India. The third research question of this survey was whose job is to teach you the language of science and technology. English teachers, subject teachers. Teachers of civil, mechanical, and electrical engineers, both English teachers and subject teachers of 15.6% of the students said that it is the duty of English teachers are of the view that it is the duty of subject teachers, and 74.2 of the respondents said that it is the duty of both English teachers and subject teachers by Ben Katraman and Prima 2006. So this means that these surveys of Tamil Nadu investigate students believe should teach English need for science and technology. The result showed significant portion of students, both English teachers and subject matters, share these responsibilities. A smaller percentage believe it has solely the responsibilities of either English teachers or subject teachers. This highlights the collaborative nature of teaching technical English, indicating a need for cooperation between language instructions and subject experts. So the next one is language teachers lacking language and content knowledge to teach academic English feel unprepared to integrate authentic texts, tasks, or tests from content areas in their English classes. In this case, the task of teaching ESP is shouldered by content teachers who have got a degree of English medium instruction. So this means that the statement highlight a challenge in teaching English for specific purposes, particularly academic English. Many language teachers, while proficient in English, lack subject matters expertise to create relevant and engaging ESP lessons using authentic materials from specific academic fields. They struggle to integrate authentic text, tasks, and tests because they lack of necessary content. So the next one is the Hutchinson and Waters in 1987. This refers to oriented themselves to a new environment. Consequently, not only EFL teachers who have to teach ESP, but content teachers who have to teach academic English due to the same reason should get special training to perform well to meet the needs of tertiary level student. So this means that students need a collaboration and potentially revise the teachers' training programs to a better equip language with content expertise and content teachers with specialized language pedagogy. So the quote from Hutchinson and Waters is about orienting themselves to a new environment, refers to the need both EFL and content teachers to adapt their teaching to the specific demands of ESP and academic English at the tertiary level. This new environment is specialized context of the subject matter, requiring specialized language skills and knowledge. So the next one. Lack of deficiencies arose in the situation mentioned above. Both general English and content teachers ESP try to join language and content, doing in their teaching through direct translation activities and intensive reading. The former does she or she does not have prior content knowledge or proficiency in academic, while the latter prepares focusing on the content while teaching translation from English into mother tongue, as he or she can do it easily but cannot make clarification about particular formal points on academic text. So this means that the teachers is knowledgeable enough to teach a ESP subject. So the teacher must possess a hard training, a lot of knowledge in order for him to teach better in this certain subject. Both ELT and content teachers trying to teach fields specific English by means of direct translation cannot make reverse translation from mother tongue into English, from which learners in fact need to learn to acquire the desired language skills. So this means that the statement argues because of both EFL and content teachers face the challenge of teaching specialized English, they both required specialized training. This training would equip them to effectively meet the needs of the university student who requires English skills tailored to specific disciplines. So the next one, according to Swain's output theory, teaching ESP requires productive activities because learning a language requires interaction so that learners can notice whether the sentence they make are correct or not. This means that Swain's output hypothesis posits that producing language speaking and writing is crucial for language acquisition, not just a result of it. In the context of ESP, this means that productive activities are essential. Learners need opportunities to use the language in meaningful ways to discover gaps in their knowledge. Interaction is key because it allows learners to test their hypotheses about English, receive feedback. So overall, the summary of my report is effective English teachers for specific purposes. Teaching requires specialized training. In general, English teachers often lack the necessary subject matters expertise to use authentic materials and create relevant assessment. Content teachers, while possessing subject knowledge, may lack of pedagogical skills to teach academic English effectively. Both often resort to inadequate methods like direct translation. Twain's output hypothesis emphasized the needs for productive language activities. Therefore, specialized training for both general English and content teacher is crucial for successful ESP instruction. So that's all for my report.
Once again, good afternoon everyone. I am Claudine Cuyos and I will be discussing the continuation of Mr. Ungukan's discussion. So, how to train ESP teacher and how then should this training be done? So as mentioned before, ESP teacher training must go beyond general English teaching because ESP teachers are English expert, not just a subject matter expert. So meaning ESP teachers are skilled in teaching English, but they are not necessarily expert in the specific field such as the medicine, law, or engineering. Like for example, an ESP teacher teaching English for medical professionals is an expert in English teaching, but not necessarily a doctor. They are expected to help students who know their subject better than them, develop the essential skills in understanding, using, and or presenting authentic information in their profession. So ESP teachers face the challenge of helping students to develop their English communication skills to handle different professional information. For example, an ESP teacher is teaching engineering students, so this particular teacher is not an engineer but needs to understand engineering topic, enable him or her to teach students or to teach their learners effectively. So, there are ways of equipping ESP teachers. First is the pre-service or in-service training. So, current language teaching programs may not consist of ESP methodology teaching or curriculum may not allow establishing separate departments for ESP teacher training as in Nigeria. So, in this case, pre-service training after undergraduate study can be a solution. So when we say a pre-service, it is a training that occurs before a teacher begins their job. A teacher take extra classes to learn how to teach English to engineers, so this gets them ready preparing when it comes to teach or when it comes to teach in a classroom. So when we say in service, it happens after a teacher is employed. A teacher goes to a workshop or a seminar to learn new things to help teachers improve their teaching. So since many teacher training programs lack of ESP methodology, pre-service training or in-service training programs are needed or help them to equip teachers with the necessary specialized skills. The second one is the collaborative work or the team teaching. So, team teaching or the collaborative work where language and subject matter teachers work together helps both develop the skills to effectively integrate language and content in ESP classes. Like for example, an engineer teacher and science teacher could collaborate or work together, teach the same class where students learn about scientific concept while also improving their English language skills. So the English teacher might focus on the vocabulary or the communication skills of the learners, while science teacher guides the learners of the scientific concept about science topic. So language teachers can ask for assistant from content teachers. When this is the case, it is possible through collaboration and cooperation for both language and content teachers to develop the confidence and the competence to effectively integrate language and content instruction in ESP teaching, which entails first is the analysis of text, materials, and curriculum. So meaning teachers jointly examine textbooks and other resources they use to ensure language and content are aligned with the needs of the students or the learners. Second is the classroom observation, reflection, and feedback. So, they observe each other's teaching and provide feedback and provide support to each other in terms of teaching. The third one is the collaborative action, research, and reflection. So, together, they work together on research project to improve their teaching methods, like investigating their teaching practices, identify challenges, and develop solutions. The fourth one is the development of integrated or complementary lessons, materials, or curricula, meaning they create lessons that seamlessly blend language skills and subject content. And the last one is the collaborative or team teaching by Crandall in 1990. They co-teach classes, sharing responsibilities. They plan together, assess class and expertise to enhance student learning experiences. So overall, this process boasts both teachers' confidence and competence in integrating language and content in ESP. That's all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark G. Alvarez, and I'll be the one to continue the discussion of Miss Claudine Cuyos. So my topic is continuation of fear. In the long term, an acculturation of or specialization can be a permanent solution of the problem. Both results of the faculty survey and theories of language learning in general and of foreign language learning in particular confirms that the best way of teaching ESP teachers and training the future ESP teachers is to perform classroom activities collaboratively. So, it clearly stated that the best way of teaching ESP and training the future ESP teacher is to perform classroom activities collaboratively. So, for example, in ESP teaching, group projects, students work together on projects that require them to apply their ESP knowledge in practical, real-world scenarios. Like in a business ESP class, students could collaborate on creating a marketing plan for a fictional company. So, for ESP teacher training, like lesson planning collaboration, future ESP teachers work together to plan lessons, share ideas, and learn from each other's experience. So next, conclusion. These are both short and long-term solution of the problem brought by lack of qualified ESP teachers. To decrease the severity of the problem currently, ELT teachers could get professional help from prospective content teachers. So it means that English teachers can work with subject experts to improve ESP instruction in a learning process. Next, definition of course, syllabus, ESP curriculum and ESP course, and syllabus design. In a previous module, you read that one of the functions of an ESP practitioner is to design courses for satisfied learners. Before we go into how he does that, let us first of all look at the same issue of definition. Oftentimes you hear of syllabus, courses, and curriculum. Do you know the difference between them? This unit will teach you the difference between courses and syllabus and curriculum. That will be discussed with my co-reporter, Miss Shaina Tacluban.
Okay, good morning once again everyone. I am Shaina Jane Tacloban and I am going to continue the report of Mr. Yabres. So today's discussion, we will going to clarify the often confused concepts of curriculum, courses, and syllabi and explore the relationship between syllabus design and curriculum development. So let's begin by defining each term and then explore their interconnectedness. First, let's define what is curriculum. So curriculum is the study of goals, content, implementation, and evaluation of an entire educational system. It is according to Stern in 1983. So this means that curriculum is the holistic nature. It's not just about the content itself, but also the goals, how it's implemented, and how it's evaluated. It considers the entire educational system's effectiveness. Curriculum also is a course of study or the content of a specific course or program. So this is a more practical definition that viewing the curriculum as the course of study itself, it's the overall content of a program or a single course. Curriculum encompasses philosophical, social, and administrative factors influencing educational planning, according to Allen in 1984. So this emphasizes the broader context of a curriculum development. It involves philosophy, social factors like societal needs and values, and administrative decisions. So these elements significantly shape what and how students learn. Lastly, curriculum represents the totality of educational experience. What does this mean? So this concisely defines the curriculum as the sum total of educational experiences a student receives. This includes both formal instruction and informal learning opportunities within the educational setting. So next, let us discuss what is courses. Courses is an individual units of study within a broader curriculum. Courses are the building blocks of a curriculum. Courses are individual learning experiences fitting within the larger framework of a curriculum. They are not standalone entities but contribute to the overall learning goals. Courses structured learning experiences with specific objectives and content. So these highlight the structure of a course. It has a clear learning objectives and specific content to be covered. Courses can be part of a larger program or stand-alone units. So courses can be a part of a degree program, diploma, or certificate, or they can be offered as independent units. And lastly, courses often have a defined duration and assessment methods. So this points to the practical aspects of a course. It has a defined time frame, and assessment methods are used to measure students' learning. Now let's move on to syllabus. Syllabus is a detailed plan for a specific course. It is according to Graves in 1996 and Shaw in 1976. The syllabus is the course plan outlining everything students and teachers need to know. So this expands on the first definition specifying the elements included, the content, learning objectives, assessment methods, how grades and determine teaching strategies. So syllabus is a specifies content, learning objectives, assessment method, and teaching approaches. Acts as a guide for both teachers and learners. It is according to Strevens in 1977. So the syllabus serves as a guide for both instructors and students, ensuring that everyone is on the same page regarding expectations and course progression. Course can be viewed as a social construction negotiated between teachers and students by Cadlin, 1984. It reflects the language and linguistic performance by Hutchison and Waters, 1987. So this is a social dimension suggesting that the syllabus isn't just simply imposed but can be a collaborative agreement between teachers and students. And for Hutchinson and Waters, they highlights the role of language in the syllabus. The way it's written and the language used reflect the course's nature and the teacher's communication style. Syllabus design versus curriculum development. Syllabus design is a phrase within the broader process of curriculum development. It is according to Stern in 1983. Curriculum development considers the overall educational program, while syllabus design focuses on a specific course. This means that syllabus design is a part of a larger curriculum process. You can't design a course without syllabus effectively without understanding the overall curriculum goals and structure. While curriculum development is the strategic plan, while syllabus design is the tactical plan for a specific course within that broader plan. Syllabus design involves specifying content, sequencing, and assessment for a particular course. This describes the practical task involved in syllabus design, deciding what topics to cover and the order of topics, and how students' learning will be assessed. So in overall, the curriculum provides the framework. Courses are the individual learning units within that certain kind of framework, and the syllabus is the detailed plan for each course. Syllabus design is a crucial component of effective curriculum implementation. For further explanation, Ms. Tadok will going to explain, and that's all for my part.
Good day everyone, I am Ranalyn P. Tadok and I will be discussing the continuation of Shaina Jane's report. Traditionally, curriculum is referred to a statement or statement of intent, the what should be of a course of study. The curriculum is seen in terms of what teachers actually do, that is in terms of what is rather than what should be. Nuna, 1988. This means that curriculum refers to a planned set of learning objectives and learning materials, outlining what students should learn. This is a prescriptive approach focusing on intended outcomes. The traditional view is idealistic, focusing on planned intentions, while Noonan's perspective is realistic, focusing on the implemented practice. Noonan's work suggests that the actual curriculum may differ significantly from the intended curriculum, emphasizing the importance of observing and analyzing what truly occurs in educational setting. Next, Barnes 1976. When people talk about the school curriculum, they often mean what teachers plan in advance for their pupils to learn. But a curriculum made only of teachers' intentions would be an insubstantial thing from which nobody would learn much. To become meaningful, a curriculum has to be enacted by pupils as well as teachers. A curriculum, as soon as it becomes more than intentions, is embodied in the communicative life and institution in this communication. Bernice argues that a meaningful curriculum isn't just teachers' plans. It must involve student active participation. A curriculum based solely on teachers' intentions is insufficient for actual learning. For a curriculum to be effective, it needs to be enacted by both teachers and students and become part of the school's communicative life. Therefore, Bernice views curriculum as a form of communication. Next, Brown 1995 describes curriculum as a systematic process during which language teaching and language program development are a dynamic system of interrelated elements. The elements include needs analysis, goals, objectives, language testing, materials development, language teaching, and program evaluation. This means the understanding curriculum from a solid product concept to a process concept. Brown defines curriculum as a systematic process in language teaching, comprising interconnected elements, needs analysis, goals, objective testing, materials development, and teaching evaluation. The last one is needs analysis is crucial for effective curriculum development. Its ongoing process encompassing needs assessment, situational analysis, planning learning outcomes, course organization, material selection, teaching and evaluation all interconnected. Teachers play a central role, but the process involves diverse contributors with varying goals. This passage emphasizes a holistic approach to curriculum development going beyond just language needs. These processes are all interdependent. Furthermore, evaluation is presented as ongoing process, not just a final step. The overall emphasis is on teacher centrality in the planning and decision-making process, while acknowledging the varied roles and goals of those in curriculum development. So that's all for my part, and thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Almira D. Panlaan. My topic is all about ESP curriculum, the continuation of Renilyn's report. In ESP curriculum, the objective or goal is more to the practical aspect, applying the language in a job-specific related situation. This means this establishes the core difference between the ESP and general English curricula. It emphasizes that ESP primary focus is practical application within a specific related job context, unlike General English, which aims for broader language proficiency. The paragraph mentions that ESP requires a curriculum that facilitates the use of English in job-specific situations. Next, this curriculum contains specific tasks, vocabulary, and language in context. This means that details the essential components of an ESP curriculum, specific tasks relevant to the learner's professional field, the necessary vocabulary, and the appropriate use of language within that context. It also highlights that the curriculum should be based on the learner's pre-existing knowledge. The mention of Higgins in Wallace 1988 suggests a reference to established research in ESP methodology. So next, in the first aspect, ESP students firstly spend too much time in learning English instead of the specific task. So this means this section addresses a common problem in ESP teaching. It argues that directly teaching job-specific language and avoiding unnecessary time spent on general English skills is more efficient for ESP learners. It points out that ESP courses often operates under time constraints and need to prioritize practical application. Next, the starting point for the ESP lesson is based on the learner's background knowledge. So this means this discusses the importance of establishing the appropriate starting point for ESP lessons. It suggests that the learner's existing background knowledge of English should serve as benchmark. This learner-centered approach ensures that curriculum builds upon what students already know. The example given illustrates the different expectations between ESP students and university students studying English for general academic reason. Next, finally, the ESP curriculum learner-centered facilitators not only lecturing. So this means this emphasizes the learner-centered philosophy of ESP. It states that the curriculum and syllabus should be tailored to the learner's individual needs and progress. The role of the ESP teacher is defined as the facilitator, guiding learners rather than simply lecturing. The reference to Ryan 2008 indicates a source supporting this learner-centered approach. Next, one of the hallmark of English for Specific Purposes or ESP was the English language teaching or ELT should be learner-centered. So this means this highlights a key characteristic of successful ESP, learner-centered instructions. It stresses that the curriculum should directly respond to the language needs of the learners and that each learning situation must carefully considered and planned. The mention of communicative language teaching or CLT shows the alignment of ESP with communicative approaches to language teaching. Next, the last point leads to the needs analysis in ESP courses syllabus designs encompasses. So this means this concluding paragraph explains that the learner-centered nature of ESP necessitates a thorough needs analysis before designing the course syllabus. It suggests that the clear understanding of curriculum and syllabus is essential before proceeding to the next step of syllabus design. This implies that the design of the syllabus is dependent on a clear understanding of the learner's needs and the overall goals of the courses. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Crisame Tangguan, and today we are going to tackle about course and syllabus design. So, what is the difference between course and syllabus? Course might be taken to mean a real series of lessons. It is the particular course delivered last year to such and such a group of students and to be repeated again this year. It is a series of lessons for a specific subject, and we usually mistakenly understood the concept of course. Whenever someone asks, "What is our course?" we usually say, Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. But it is wrong because course is simply the subject, while syllabus can be taken to be something rather more abstract with fewer details of the blow-by-blow conduct of individual lessons. Syllabus is more abstract and outlines what should be taught and in what order without specific lesson plan. In short, it is the curriculum. For more information, here are some elements of syllabus. So the first one we have here the course description. Course description is a brief summary of what the course is about. Second one is learning objectives. So we are very familiar of this together with the acronym SMART, which means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound statements outlining what students should know or be able to do by the end of the course. The next element is course outline. It is a schedule of topics, assignments, and due dates, of course. The next one is assessment methods. It is how students' learning will be evaluated, like exams, papers, and projects. The next element is grading system. It is how grades will be calculated. The next one is course policies. It is the rules and regulations related to attendance, late assignments, and academic integrity. And the last element is instructor information. It is the contact details, office hours, and qualifications. So what is the purpose of syllabus? It is for communication. It provides clear communication to students about course expectations and requirements. It is also a guidance. It helps students plan their workload and prepare for assignments. It is for record. Of course, it would serve as a record of the course content and structure. It is for contract, represents an agreement between the instructor and students regarding course expectations. And the last purpose is learning tool. It guides students in their learning and helps them achieve the course goals. So the next slide is having learned about courses and syllabuses, what does it entail to design a course or a syllabus? So, syllabus design is to design a syllabus to decide what gets taught and in what order. When a teacher designs a syllabus, they are organizing the learning content to help students understand it better step by step. In designing a syllabus, it means planning what topics or lessons will be included in the subject and also in what sequence they will be taught from easiest to hardest. Theory of learning also plays an important part in determining the kind of syllabus used. For example, a syllabus based on the theory of learning evolved by cognitive code teaching would emphasize language forms and whatever explicit descriptive knowledge about those forms. So, the choice of syllabus depends on the theory of language and theory of learning. For example, cognitive code theory focuses on grammar and language rules. A syllabus based on an acquisition theory of learning, however, would emphasize and analyze and carefully selected experiences of the new language. The choices of a syllabus is a major decision in language teaching, and it should be made as consciously and with as much information as possible. Of course, acquisition theory focuses on natural real-life language use. Choosing a syllabus is a major decision in teaching. It must be made with awareness and knowledge of various factors and teaching methods. For Munby on 1984, syllabus design is seen as a matter of specifying the content that needs to be taught and then organizing it into a teaching syllabus of appropriate learning units. And according to Webb on 1976, syllabus design is understood as the organization of the selected contents into an ordered and practical sequence for teaching purposes. His criteria for syllabus design are as follows. The first one is progress from known to unknown matter. The next one is appropriate size of teaching units. The third one is a proper variety of activity. Next is teachability. And the last one is creating a sense of purpose for the student. For Munby's view on syllabus design in 1984, syllabus design is about organizing what content to teach and how to sequence it. Here are some criteria include. So the first criteria is progress from known to unknown. It means that starting with what students already know or familiar with and gradually introducing new or more difficult concepts. Why? Because it helps build confidence and makes learning smoother. So the next one is appropriate size of teaching units. So it refers to dividing the content into manageable chunks or lessons. Because if a lesson is too long or too complicated, students may feel overwhelmed, or if it is smaller, well-sized units helps learners absorb information better. The next one is variety of activities. A syllabus should include different types of activities like group work, discussions, writing, and games, and etc. Variety keeps learners engaged and supports different learning styles like visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The fourth criteria is teachability. It means the content should be suitable for the learner's age, level, and background. It should not be too hard or too easy, because content that matches the learner's abilities is more likely to be understood and remembered. And the last one is sense of purpose for the student. Lessons should make students feel that what they're learning is useful and relevant. Why? Because when learners understand the purpose, they are more motivated and focused. In summary, Webb's criteria help ensure that the syllabus is logical, engaging, and manageable, and also motivating for students, making the learning process more effective and meaningful. Garcia, 1976, expands on this and provides more comprehensive criteria which should be taken into consideration when designing a language syllabus. He says that particulars concerning the social forces, the prejudices, the habits, and the motives of the student population, the relation of student characteristics to what are considered universal concepts in language learning processes, contemporary insights into the nature of the language and how it should be taught to non-native speakers and for what realistic purposes must guide curricular decisions. Garcia suggests that social and cultural factors, student background, and language nature must also influence syllabus design, and also realistic goals and context. So, overall, my topic explains that a course is a series of lessons, while a syllabus is a plan for what will be taught and in what order. Designing a syllabus depends on theories of language and learning, such as cognitive code, that focus on grammar, or acquisition theory that focus on natural use. Scholars like Munby, Webb, and Garcia emphasize organizing content clearly and considering student needs, culture, and purpose. Good syllabus design helps ensure effective and meaningful language learning. So again, this is Crisame Tanguen, and thank you for listening. Have a great day ahead, everyone.
So, good day everyone. I am Lani L. Pascolado, and I am going to continue discussing the report of Miss Crisame Tanguen. So, according to Hallam, in 1976, the language course designer has to pay serious consideration to all the relevant variables. He has grouped all the variables into two categories, namely the linguistic variables and non-linguistic variables. So, this means that planning a language course is of course not easy. So, Hallam grouped all these variables into two categories, which a teacher needs to pay a serious consideration. So, a linguistic variables includes language patterns or the linguistic patterns between the language to be taught and the language or languages which the student uses in his or her daily activities. And as a teacher, this means that you need to think about the language patterns. So, it includes the grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation of English, and of course, the connection between English and your own languages. So, how English is similar or different from the languages you already speak and use every day. This can help teachers understand where you might have difficulties or where you can make connections. So, a non-linguistic variables includes the policy, to social, cultural, technological, and administrative variables. So according to Mali, in 1984, he sums it up when he says that syllabus design encompasses the whole process of designing a language programmed. This means that in a non-linguistic variables, it talks about the society and how we use language. Like for example, in policy, these are the rules or guidelines set by the schools or governments about language teaching. And in social cultural factors, it is how language is used in different social situations and cultures. And in technological variables, how technology, like computers and the internet, can be used in learning. And for administrative variables, practical things like class size, time available, and resources. So all of those are or belongs to the second category, which is the non-linguistic variables. So Male emphasizes that planning a course isn't just about language rules. It's also about the teachers or learner programmer on how you will actually learn and how the teacher will teach. So a teacher, of course, must decide what you need to learn first, or what teaching methods should the teacher employ, and what classroom activities should he or she employs, like for example group work, role playing, grammar exercises, and how the teacher will assess your progress, like for example in tests, assignments, and of course your oral recitation or your participation in class. So all these things should fit together, and the activities should match the teaching method, and the test should check what you have learned through those activities. So methodology procedure needs analysis, which produces an order unit of items to be taught is organically related to a consistent with the syllabus, a set of techniques consistent with the methodology, and evaluation consistent with the whole. So a syllabus design involves a logical sequence of three main stages, namely the needs analysis, content specification, and syllabus organization. So this means that in needs analysis, you are going to figure out what you need to learn. And in content specification, you are going to decide what to teach and how to organize it, as what we have discussed earlier. And for the syllabus organization, you are going to check if the course is working well and if you are learning effectively. And this follows very closely the general model advocated by Taba in 1962, which gave the following steps. First is the needs analysis. Second, formulation of objectives. Third, selection of content. Fourth, organization of content. 5, selection of learning activities. 6, organization of learning activities. The last one, decisions about what needs evaluating and how to evaluate. So in needs analysis, as what I have said earlier, you are going to understand what you need. And for formulation of objectives, you are going to set clear goals or objectives for what you should learn. And for the selection of content, you are going to decide or choose what topics and language to teach. And for organization of content, putting the content in a logical order. So you are going to organize. From the word organize, putting the content in a logical order. Next is selection of learning activities. So you are going to choose what you will do in class for your students to learn, of course. So you're going to select from the word selection. Selection of learning activities, you're going to select activities that you will facilitate in your classroom. Next is organization of learning activities. So you are going to plan how those activities will happen. So you're going to organize. You are going to organize on how those activities, or you're going to organize the flow of those activities, or how those activities will happen. And lastly, determination of what to evaluate and how to evaluate, deciding what to test and how to test it. From the word evaluation, it means testing or assessing. So as you can see, Taba steps are very similar to the three main stages mentioned in the previous slides. So, course design is concerned precisely with how much design should go into a particular course. That is, how much should be negotiated with the learners, how much predetermined by the teacher, and how much left to chance and the mood of the participants on the day. So, this means that course design is more precisely concerned with how much design should go into a particular course. That is, how much of the content and methodology should be predetermined and how much should arise from the interaction between the teacher and the mood of the participants on the day. It talks about the course design and talks about what the teacher needs to decide. Like, for example, how much to plan in advance. Should everything be planned out in detail, or should there be room for flexibility? Or should some of the topics or activities depend on what you, as the students, are interested in and how you are feeling on a particular day? This idea is linked to focus on the learner, meaning that a good course should consider your interests and needs as a learner and not be too rigid. Or in short, when designing a curriculum, teachers should look at the needs of many learners, not just one class. Also, to set general goals for what those large groups of students should achieve. So there should be an objective, or there should be a clear goals, and decide on the overall content and types of activities that will be used across different courses. So you are going to choose what, or decide and select what particular activities you are going to employ in your class. So in conclusion, designing a language syllabus is no doubt a complex process, with the language planner paying every attention to all variables. Syllabus design is a logical sequencing of what to be taught. In ESP, the practitioner negotiates this with the learner who knows why he or she needs English. This means that planning a language course is definitely not a simple task. So as what I have said earlier, it is a complex process. So the teacher or the language planner has to carefully consider everything they have talked about. It also emphasizes that language shouldn't be taught in a vacuum. So it should not be taught in isolation. It should be connected to why you need to learn English in the first place. And this means teachers should try to understand your goals and connect the lessons to your real life needs. And that's all, everyone. I hope you learned something today. Have a good day ahead. God bless.